Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're slicing through the complexity of qualifying for the USA Fencing Summer Nationals.
Yeah, if you're aiming to compete there, figuring out how to actually qualify can feel, well, a bit like navigating a really tricky tournament bracket itself.
Exactly. So our mission today is simple. Clarify these different routes, make sense of how you get onto that national strip.
And we're basing this on the official source, the USA Fencing Athlete Handbook for the 2024-2025 season. Let's dig in, starting with the absolute baseline requirement, membership.
Right. You can't compete nationally without being a member. But what kind of membership are we talking about here? Is any type okay?
No, that's key. You absolutely need a current USA Fencing competitive membership. That's your ticket for regional or national sanctioned tournaments, the ones that actually count for qualifying for Summer Nats.
So that access membership some people might have, that won't cut it for these qualifiers.
Correct. Access is fine for, say, local events, maybe some early division stuff, but not for the path to nationals. You'll need to register, get that competitive level membership via the USA Fencing website.
And there's something else vital too, right? Age verification.
Oh, definitely. Don't overlook that. Get your age verified well before you try signing up for any qualifying events. It can trip people up. Think of the competitive membership like your fencing passport for national level play.
Okay, passport secured with a competitive membership and age verification done. What's the next big piece? Something about divisions.
Yes, your division affiliation. This is super important. You need to declare one, and it's usually based on where you live. Sometimes it can be based on your school or, your main fencing club's location.
And why does this matter so much for qualifying?
Because, generally speaking, your path to the USA Fencing National Championships, Summer Nationals, goes through your specific declared division. Many qualifiers are restricted just to members of that division.
What if you move or change clubs across division lines? Can you change it?
You can. You have to request a division change formally by notifying the national office in writing. There's also sort of national division option for folks living overseas or active military, but that needs documentation. Knowing your correct division is just crucial.
Okay. Membership, check. Division, check. Now, the actual ways to qualify, it seems like it really changes depending on your age category.
Absolutely. The pathways are quite distinct for the different age groups. You've got youth, that's Y10, Y12, Y14, then cadet and junior. Then the divisional categories, DIV2 and DIV3, senior DV1A and DIV1, and of course, veteran fencers.
Let's break that down. Starting with the youngest group, the youth fencers in Y10, Y12, and Y14, how do they punch their ticket to Summer Nationals?
For those young athletes, the main routes involve the Regional Youth Circuit, the RYC, and also the Intermediate Regional Circuit, or IRC tournaments. Finishing in the top 40% at these events in Y10, Y12, or Y14 earns you qualification.
Top 40%. That feels achievable. And these RYCs, they're specific to your own region, aren't they?
That's correct. You earn RYC points within your home region, and it's your best 3 results from the season that count towards your RYC point total.
Is there like a formula for how those points work?
Yep, there is. It's basically the number of entries minus your placing plus 1, then all divided by the number of entries, and you multiply that by 100. So bigger events and higher placings mean more points.
So there's some strategy there. Maybe targeting certain RYCs depending on size versus your travel budget and qualification goal.
Exactly. A slightly smaller RYC might be easier to hit that top 40% for qualification, even if fewer points are on offer compared to a huge one where placing high is tougher but yields more points.
Makes sense. Now, you also mentioned Y14 fencers earning national points. How does that fit in?
Right. So Y14 fencers can earn national points at the Super Youth Circuit events, the SYCs. These points feed into the National Rolling Point Standings, the NRPS.
And what's the benefit of those national points for a Y14 fencer?
Well, besides potentially helping qualify for junior level events later on, those national points are really important for seeding in the Y14 national events themselves. A good ranking means a potentially better draw.
Okay, moving up in age bracket, cadets and juniors. The focus seems to shift towards qualifying for the Junior Olympics, the JOs. What's the path there?
It's actually quite similar in structure. For JO's qualification in cadet and junior, the top 40% of finishers at the Intermediate Regional Circuit, or IRC, tournaments will qualify.
So IRCs serve both youth for Summer Nats and cadet junior for JOs. Any key difference?
Yes, a crucial one. For the cadet and junior JO qualifiers held by divisions, participation is usually restricted just to members of that specific division. Again, your division affiliation is key.
Got it. Division matters for JOs too. Let's pivot to the Divisional National Championships, DIV2 and DIV3. How do fencers qualify for those?
Qualification for DIV2 and DIV3 nationals primarily happens through dedicated qualifying tournaments hosted by each division.
And are those open to anyone?
No, like the JO qualifiers, these are restricted to members of that specific division hosting the event. And another important point, they can't be mixed gender events. Each gender needs its own qualifier.
Interesting. And I see veteran fencers can also use these divisional qualifiers.
That's right. Vets have the option to qualify for the USA Fencing National Championships through these DIV2 or DIV3 divisional qualifiers. It's a really valuable pathway for experienced fencers.
Okay, now here's where it might get a bit tricky. What if a division holds a combined DIV2 and DIV3 qualifier? How do they sort out who qualifies for which championship?
Yeah, that can look confusing at first glance. Basically, everyone eligible fences together in one event. Let's say you have fencers with C, D, E, and unrated ratings competing.
Okay.
So after the event finishes, they look at the results list. The top finishers who are rating eligible for DIV2, which usually includes C, D, E, and U rated fencers,
Right.
those top folks qualify for the DIV2 nationals.
Right, so the C fencers take those spots first if they finish high enough?
Exactly. Then, to figure out the DIV3 qualifiers, which is typically for D, E, and U rated fencers, they look further down the results list, specifically at the finishing order of only those fencers who are eligible for DIV3 by rating.
So if a C-rated fencer finishes what would be a DIV3 qualifying spot, they get skipped for DIV3.
Correct. Because they aren't rating eligible for DIV3, the spot passes down to the next highest finishing fencer who is rating eligible, D, E, or U. It maintains the integrity of the rating classifications for each championship.
That breakdown helps a lot, thanks. Now climbing higher, DIV1 and DIV1A. The handbook apparently clarified things here.
Yes, they added some language to make the qualification pathways clearer for DIV1 and DIV1A championships. A key point involves athletes in the national division.
What about them?
They now need to meet specific event criteria for the July Challenge. You should think of the July Challenge as basically the kickoff for the domestic DIV1 season. Meeting those criteria is vital.
So the July Challenge is a critical gateway for those top-level national division fencers aiming for DIV1 success. What about the regional open circuit, the ROCs, specifically for DIV2?
Right, the DIV2 ROCs. These are really good competition opportunities for fencers aged 13 and up who have a rating of C or below.
Do they award national points or qualify you for summer nats directly?
No, they don't award national points, but the top 40% of finishers do get regional points, which helps their standing within their region at the DIV2 level. So ROCs are more about gaining experience and building that regional ranking if you're a C or lower rated fencer.
Okay, good for regional development then. Let's circle back to the SYC's Super Youth circuits and also the Regional Junior Cadet circuits, RJCCs. Who can fence in those?
Both SYCs and RJCCs are open to current USA fencing members with that competitive membership we talked about. They're also open to foreign fencers who are age eligible and have an international competitive license, an ICL.
But there's a catch for the foreign fencers, isn't there?
A very important one. Foreign fencers, even if they compete and do well in SYCs or RJCCs, are not eligible to compete in the USA Fencing National Championship events, like Summer Nationals or JOs.
That's crucial to know. And how do points work with qualifiers from these events? Are national point holders skipped?
No, that's another distinction. Unlike some other types of qualifiers, national point holders are not skipped on the regional ranking lists when they figure out how many people qualify from an SYC or RJCC. Everyone counts in determining those qualifying spots based on regional rank.
Good to clarify. Now, earlier you mentioned the NRPS, the National Rolling Point Standings. You said they're used for seeding, but do they play any other role in qualification?
They definitely do. Their main job is seeding for domestic point tournaments, giving higher rank fencers a better position in the bracket. But for some events, especially at the junior level, your position on the NRPS can actually be a direct pathway to qualification.
So having a high national ranking can sometimes get you straight into an event.
In some cases, yes. It's important to remember the NRPS and your official rating used for seeding are based on where things stand 10 days before the tournament starts. So consistent performance in national events really pays off building that ranking.
It sounds like another reason to compete consistently at a high level. Now, what about unexpected issues? Say, an injury right before a key qualifier. Is there any kind of safety net? I saw something about petitions.
Yes, there is a petition process for truly exceptional circumstances. A member in good standing can petition for entry into major championships like DIV-1 Nationals, JOs, July Challenge, or Summer Nationals if they couldn't qualify through the normal routes due to some unforeseen major issue.
Is it easy to get a petition approved?
Oh, definitely not. It's subject to very careful review and needs approval from the national office. And there are big restrictions. For
Yeah.
instance, if you actually fenced in a qualifier and didn't withdraw because of a documented injury or illness, you probably can't petition.
What else would make you ineligible?
Well, if you chose to fence in a regional qualifier when your division qualifier was available, you generally can't petition your way in later. Also, only U.S. citizens and permanent residents can even submit a petition. It's really meant for rare, unavoidable situations.
Understood. It's not a loophole, more like an emergency measure. And going back to those standard qualifiers, the divisions have to give notice, right?
Absolutely. Divisions are required to give their members at least 4 weeks' notice about the date, time, and location for any qualifying competition they're running. And this info needs to be posted publicly, like on their website, so everyone has time to plan.
4 weeks seems fair. Crucial for planning travel and training.
Yeah.
Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive into the qualification maze, we wanted to give a quick shout out.
Yes, just a quick mention of Fencing Family. They're an Etsy shop with a great selection of fencing-themed apparel, accessories, that kind of stuff. If you're looking for fencing gear or gifts, check them out. That's fencingfamily.etsy.com.
Great suggestion. So pulling it all together, qualifying for Summer Nationals really is this kind of complex puzzle. There are lots of different pieces depending on your age, your rating, the specific tournament you're aiming for.
Absolutely. The key takeaway really is knowing the specific rules for your age group and checking the official USA Fencing Athlete Handbook constantly. Plus, keep an eye on info from your specific division. Those are your go-to sources for the latest, most accurate criteria.
And don't forget the main USA Fencing website, usafencing.org. It has the tournament calendars, point standings, all sorts of useful resources. So thinking about all these different routes, DIV2 versus RYC points versus petitions, what part of this whole qualification process do you find the most interesting or maybe the most challenging as you plan out your fencing season? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.